Here we go with the Tri-State Out 8 Knicks post-game show. Nice bounce-back game from R.J. Barrett. Had 15. The Knicks went up by 19 in the second quarter. But George Niang and the Sixers got it to within one. Never were able to retake the lead. Julius Randle, excellent game, and the Knicks pull away down the stretch. Randle with 31 points, 12 rebounds, 10 points in the fourth quarter. And the Knicks survive in Philadelphia. Final score tonight, 103-96. Knicks now 7-4 on the season. Great to have you with us from our Delta MSG studios. Bill Pito along with Monica McNutt, Alan Hahn, and Wally Zerbiak. So Sixers really decimated in terms of who they had available, but as we like to say around here, Wally, a win is a win.
Yep, and I was never worried either.
Why do we always have to describe your emotions about whether it's going to be a win or a loss?
No, it's a win. It's a good win, and I thought at the end of this game, the Knicks were going to find a way to pull this one out. I mean, give the Philadelphia 76ers a ton of credit for playing hard, doing everything to keep themselves in that game, feeding off the crowd. George Niang was phenomenal, guarding Julius Randle for some of the game, knocking down big threes. But in the end, Knicks went to their starters. They're the healthier team, and they dominated the game when it counts.
When it counted. Down the stretch.
Julius Randle was the best player on the floor, and he showed it, and he proved it.
And he did. And he backed up what he said last night following what was a frustrating loss at home to the Cavs as Julius Randle put it on himself. So I want that accountability. I have to bring more energy. I have to be more of a leader. And when it came to winning time, he did it.
Well, Wally may not have ever been worried, but I was thoroughly worried. A 14-point third quarter, but I keep going back to the trust. And we were in the locker room, in the green room.
Which is our locker room.
It is our locker room. Pretty much. In the green room discussing lineups, tweaks here or there, and it got a little warm, y'all. But ultimately, Julius Randle. I mean, that to me has been the most consistent piece of this team over this first 11 games, or 11, yeah.
All right, so for the Sixers, no Embiid, no Thibault, no Harris, and, of course, no Ben Simmons, but you got to give him credit. However, for the Knicks, when you look at the three games in the last four nights, I mean, 2-1 when you go Milwaukee, Cleveland, Philly, and come out of there with 2 wins in 3 games, Alan, 7-4 through 11 games. I mean, it hasn't always been the smoothest situation here, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's a pretty good look right now.
Yes, and again, you know, you take advantage of players missing from certain teams. That's fine. You still got to win those games. 5-1 on the road to show you something about this team as well. They are ready to play on the road, no matter what, hostile environments, no matter what. They are better. They are really good on the road to start this season. They're at 7-4. This is a tight, bunched up East. And so whether or not players are available, like you said, you win these games now early in the season because it matters. That's 2 now against the Sixers. You said in pregame how important that is because later in the season, those 2 wins might matter.
Division rival, and now you're within 1 game of them. They're 8-3, the Sixers, and you're 7-4. You're knocking down their heels, and you're healthy, and they're dealing with a whole bunch of turmoil and stuff like that. They're playing good basketball, and they're a tough team, well-coached team. But in the end, I like the way the Knicks dug this win out. They needed to get this win. 6-5 would not have been a good look. Allowing the Sixers to get this win at home without, you know, their main pieces in the lineup would have been a terrible loss. We were discussing that down the stretch. Yeah. But at the same time, that's all forgotten. The Knicks took care of business. That's why you have superstars in this league, and that's why you have Julius Randle on your roster.
Worth pointing out here, Mitchell Robinson did not play because of a sore hip, and Nerlens Noel left the game with a knee injury. So hopefully that's not too serious. Hopefully Robinson can come back because Wednesday night the Bucks are back in town, and if those 2 guys aren't able to go, the Knicks are going to be obviously shorthanded up front. All right, Monica, take us through the fourth quarter. Sixers got within 1, but the Knicks had a nice run in the final 5 minutes.
Substitutions. We had a little small ball. There you go. Then we went back to the starters, or we saw the starters come back in the game, and there was just a different sense of urgency. I thought you saw a little bit better hustle plays. You saw folks diving on the ground to get balls.
Here's the small ball lineup. I mean, Tibbs had to change it up. He did. He went with a small ball lineup here with 4 guards and Taj. And this group got them up by 7.
And that group had 2 really big threes. The one RJ just hit, and then you had the one in the corner on that crazy corner pass that found Alec Burks. And then Julius comes back in when the starters come back in, and there is this let's finish it off type of energy.
Yeah, the closer, right? You go to your starters at that point. You needed to shake up the game a little bit and rest your starters. And then the starters came back in the game. Doc only played 7 guys in this game, so his guys weren't going to be nearly as rested. And when Randle came in, it was closing time. And how about Kemba Walker? He did not really have a great game, but when it mattered, huge bucket there.
The poise.
You know, Walker and Rose really combined did not do what they have done. They didn't get much from the point guard situation, but Coach Thibodeau, Wally, goes back to Fournier and Walker with the game on the line, and Walker came through with that huge bucket.
No, it was the right move. It really was, because the Knicks starters, you know, down the stretch, they just had so much more firepower, I felt like, when you stack them up against the, you know, undermanned Philadelphia 76ers. And I love the way you talk about trust. You got to trust your guys. You got to trust your starters to win that game for you. And that was the right move. It really was. You know, Fournier and Kemba, those guys are experienced guys that know how to win. Julius Randle, with those guys around him, you know, it's like, okay, this is our job to seal this one away and win this basketball game. And I love the move going back to the starters down the stretch, and they came through.
I'll tell you a stat that jumps out to me, and I don't know if it's 100% accurate, but it's on the box score. 23 fast break points for the Knicks.
Yeah, they had 11
in
They had 11 in the first quarter. Which it didn't feel like they were playing that way. This game had a different, because in the first quarter, there was all points in the paint for the Knicks. And then it changed because they took the paint away. But first quarter, the Knicks were out and running. And isn't that what you do against a team that's undermanned? You're playing guys that they're not normally starters. You have your 5 starters. Get out, get some easy baskets, get yourself a lead, try to demoralize them a little bit, get yourself in rhythm. And you saw RJ was attacking early. His bounce-back game, by the way, hit that 15-point mark I told you about. But this, I guess, you know what? The more
now we're looking at it, right? Now that we're looking at it.
Well, you're starting to realize it is the fast break points.
They only average 11 fast break points a game.
And they had that in the first quarter.
And they finished the night with 23 fast break points.
And they had 20 points in the paint in the first quarter, but only ended up with 44 because, as I said, the Sixers decided, all right, we got to take the paint away and make you beat us from 3. And the 3 ball really didn't fall as it has been for this team. It's another game where they really struggled from 3, but they did everything they did in that first quarter. Play fast, score in the paint. The Sixers took it away. Knicks had to adjust.
You really want to be an assistant coach, don't you?
This is what it's about, baby.
You really want to be an assistant coach.
You got to see the game. You got to see the numbers. You got to see the trends.
I want to know who's keeping the fast break point stat because we watch these games.
Those are very fudgy.
I agree.
Very fudgy.
Wild here.
You never know.
I mean, looking at the highlight
certain scorekeepers can be like, there was no guys back. There was one guy.
How do you define a fast break point? Seriously.
That's a good question.
A basket in transition. It has to be transition where you don't set your offense.
All right, what about a fast break that results in a long 3?
That's a fast
should
break
be
point.
A fast break point, but that's it's like it's John Stockton's assist man. 3 passes later, assist.
I tell you, we look every night. We're like 23 fast break points.
Wow.
We'll take it.
Hey, whatever works. Knicks get a win. Tom Thibodeau's group now 7-4 as they win at Philly 103-96. We'll hear from the coach as we continue on the Tri-State Audi Knicks postgame show after this.